Fantastic. Welcome back, everyone. You'll see we just had to adjust the cams a little bit here to get started, but players, there's the first bump. They're going to get started. It is Dale Don on Blackwings versus Timothy Chalice over on Voiceless Voice. I'm quite excited to see this matchup.
Voiceless Voice Melodius, actually.
Oh, ooh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
very techy.
That's actually really cool. But on that note, let's see what they kind of get started with. Of course, Melodius coming out first thing.
Starting off with an ostinato, sending 2 reframes. This is sort of standard. Activating, summoning the bucket and activating the bucket. The goal here is to summon another reframe from the deck, and then reframe adding couplet, which will summon the other reframe from the graveyard. But the bucket immediately being met with imperm. This is exactly what you want. This is what the Melodius engine is there to do.
Ooh, so pretty much Dale Don played exactly into the plans that Timothy wants.
Right, because the Melodius engine in Voiceless Voice, its entire purpose is to bait out hand traps, because if you don't, then it puts up a very impressive board on its own.
I mean, that's fantastic. That means that Timothy is just able to kind of play through this. I didn't check his entire hand yet, but does he have the Voiceless Voice cards to go into yet?
I think I saw a pre-preparation of rights.
Okay,
So we're going to scale couplet, couplet add concerto, and then concerto using the couplet in the scale and the bucket on the field, and then couplet will real scale itself, and then bucket will be able to summon a refrain. The refrain shouldn't really be able to add anything, so it's not as valuable as it could be, but now we control a level 7 and a level 4, and then we activate the pre-preparation of rights.
Yeah. I mean, pre-prep such a good generic card. It's kind of like the Rota plus for for rituals.
It really gets the ball rolling, especially because Baka is a level 7, which is the level requirements for Skull Guardian.
And I mean, Blackwing is such it's a deck that I've gone up against many times. I'm not familiar with the correct way to counterplay against them very well.
It's very difficult.
It's very, I find it very complex, but I have, at least in my experience, I have seen that going second against, or them going second against me definitely gives me a huge advantage. And like we saw in the previous feature matches, especially when we saw the Voiceless Voice Drytron, we saw the amount of power they could put on the board to just kind of...
I mean, just look how powerful this is. Even the Skull Guardian is chain blocked by the Concerto draw one. That is exceptionally powerful.
Yeah, I mean, it just lets you play through the interruptions. You get a lot of jurisdiction on what actually goes through on your turn and what you actually get stopped by. So clean play from Timothy so far. Low hits the field.
Most likely going to try and place barrier. Looks like we have an Ash, Droll, and Seraphis in hand, so Seraphis will be able to negate any follow-up Imperm, Veiler, or Mourners from Dale Don. Droll being very good against Blackwing, especially on those awkward hands where you start with Pot of Prosperity.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of uses up the draw, and then Droll is stopping you from getting any more Blackwings. It's slowing you down exceptionally hard.
Ash is also very, very good. Being able to stop the level 5 starter, I always forget what its name is. Essentially, you can normal summon it and it triggers Black Whirlwind.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I mean, just to talk about the players a bit, I mean, Timothy Chalice has been very well known as a strong player in the Cape Town region.
Very, very well known. Both of these duelists are very well known. Dale Don is a Blackwing one trick. He's been playing this deck. As you can see, he's got 2022 Nats sleeves and 2023, both with Blackwing, exceptional duelist. And then Tim Chalice been grinding since probably before I was like born.
Yeah, man has been playing for a long time, and it definitely shows it in the knowledge that he knows about multiple decks and engines over the time. But we'll have to see if that can kind of result in clean play from here onwards. Looks like we got a liner coming down just to assist with the link plays here.
Liner into Exceed the Pendulum. Exceed the Pendulum can add the refrain from extract to hand, and then you can special summon the refrain. Or we're just going to scale it immediately. And then we can summon a Pendulum monster from our graveyard. So we still have a Pendulum summon left. So we'll go into a link 4 here, because Radiance, remember, can tag out for more Voiceless Voice engine during the opponent's turn. So we're just trying to put on bodies here.
There's a nicely sized upper. I think that's a link 3 upper? 2 mats. 2 mats. True, it's the mats, not the link level. Important to keep in mind that policy, of course, is not to put dice on Apple anymore. Important for players to kind of recall what it is sitting on. So I'm quite sure that Apple should be 1/6 currently.
1600, yes.
So 2 monster negates there, and you'd love to see Apple just being able to stop any kind of interruptions. I don't think Dale has any more at this point in his hand, unless he's waiting for a specific time, but I think it's time to use them as kind of... we're past that by now.
Yeah. So Dale's deck is very, very weird in a way that it's a hand trap deck, but the hand traps are there mostly for crossout designator, because he wants to really insulate his own plays, because his engine is so strong on its own that if he gets access to it and it gets to go off unimpeded, he just wins.
Okay, and here we go. What is the first play? Oh, there's the pros.
There's the pros. This roll might go a little crazy.
Yeah, it's exactly what we spoke about. And he's going for 6. I mean, this does mean he gets to dig quite deep into the deck, can find potentially something that he really needs. Hopefully, in his case, maybe a crossout designator for a draw. But let's see what we get from that. Melodius, of course, gets to wait this out a bit. Well, Melodius voice. Let me not mince my words, but it does seem like more Melodius on the board right now.
Prosperity gets activated. We're going to chain the Seraphis to return to hand and summon a Voiceless voice monster from our deck. Summoning a Skull Guardian, and because the Skull Guardian was special summoned, we can trigger it, and the low-end graveyard to summon back, so the negate will be live. Unfortunately, there's no targeting protection from barriers, so this imperm that he might find off of the Prosperity will be able to deal with it, as well as potential Apo. It really depends on what he is trying to accomplish. The Small World as well. Don loves his Small World. He plays a numerous amount of board breakers and things to add off of his Small World, because his whole deck is just so flexible with types and attributes and so on.
I'll say Small World was a card when I kind of started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Quite a while ago. Trying to read that and just pass exactly what it does is one thing, but then getting to the point where you start thinking about, oh wait, I know how this works now, but understanding how to use it, that's when it gets really fun.
Looks like we're going to add the Imperm off of the Pros, and then on resolution we should see a Droll Knockbird.
Yep, there's the Droll, and this is rough for Blackwings. Oh my. I mean, chances are that Dale has ways to play through this.
Yes, absolutely. Blackwings can play through a Droll Knockbird. They can play through a Nibiru as well. They aren't limited by it, but it certainly hinders the potential extension of the deck. I think the same concept applies to Melodius as well, ironically, where the deck doesn't get stopped by a Droll or Nibiru, but it does hinder.
Yeah, slows down a bit, doesn't let it go as far. But I think it's going to be quite important, especially I think one of the things about Blackwings is when they start going with the Black Whirlwind that lets them the lower attack monsters get to.
Speaking of, we obviously really value the Skull Guardian, being able to negate the spell trap, and we're going to also protect that with the Seraphis that we had in hand, negating the Imperm. So we still have our Skull Guardian card or effect negate, as well as our 2 monster negates from Appaloosa, and then low placing the barrier, finally giving the whole board, except for the Appaloosa, targeting
all the light monsters.
One thing that I am curious about is that we didn't pendulum summon the refrain from extra deck. We sort of just left it there. I wonder if it was maybe worth to just have an extra body on board.
Have a bit more to work with.
If we activate talents, we Skull Guardian negate, because it was probably talents to take.
Yeah, it would be talents to take, but I mean, if it was talents to take, well, you'd go Skull Guardian and Crash, I assume. I don't know what else you'd really be able to make.
Yeah, because you would just take the Skull Guardian and then go battle phase, attack the Appaloosa, and then Timothy Chalice just out of interruptions. But it looks like Dale has seen the writing on the wall, scoops it up, goes to game 2, game 1 goes to Timothy Chalice.
And I mean, game 1, Voiceless voice, Melodius, that's definitely good to see, but Blackwings now going first, and that is threatening.
Absurdly strong.
Terrifying to go up against. I feel like people talk about Tempire currently being the going second deck that you're scared of. I'd say Blackwing's definitely not a meta like to contender. This is definitely a bit of an off meta rogue pick, but it can be so extremely powerful going first. I mean, and then especially if it gets your turn and we do get the What's his name? Kali Yuga coming down and just locking you out of an
Oh,
entire
yes.
turn, just essentially turn skipping you and then running over you the next one.
If we pop up the Blackwing deck list quickly, we'll be able
Mm.
to tell you what all the siding patterns are.
Yeah.
We can see that he is on the Kali Yuga package, which could be very, very threatening as well. Timothy Chalas really needs to play towards his outs, towards his potential Kali Yuga. One thing that I also want to say is that Blackwing is often a knowledge check. It's a rogue deck that is exceptionally good at going first. But if you know how the deck functions and you have the correct hand traps, you can stop it. And Timothy Chalas and Dale Don, they go to the same locals. They play against each other every week.
Yeah.
So Timothy Chalas has the knowledge to be able to maybe navigate his way through this matchup.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it plays out. As I said previously, like I've played against Blackwings many times, but still knowing the right place to stop them and what line they're taking to find the right way to stop them, it does feel like it's one of those almost like flow diagram decks to deal with. But yeah, looking at what's potentially coming in here with Dale going first, I wonder. I mean, the crosser designators all being in the side definitely. I can't imagine him not bringing those in.
Yeah, he'll definitely bring those in. He'll probably bring in one draw on Blackbird and then one Nibiru just to have like some sort of counterplay, potentially a Ghost Ogre as well, because you really don't want your Black Whirlwind to be destroyed by card effect. For the rest of the cards, I can't imagine a lot coming out. For for Timothy Chalas, sorry, we have some minor things like Deeper Steals. They could be very relevant.
Yeah, I have seen pistols do a lot of work against Blackwings.
Yeah. Pistols are good. Nibiru is okay, but it has to be paired up with additional hand traps to be effective against Blackwing.
Yeah, and anti-spell fragrance, do you think that's something that actually stops them, or do you think that Blackwing has too many outs to that?
Well, we won't see it this game for sure.
Yeah, so sorry, it's more future of the matchup.
I think it might be relevant because he plays a lot of style cards that fetch him non-engine. Think Part of Prosperity, think Small World, think Cross-Out, which could be turned off, especially if you shot down your anti-spell in the draw phase. Talents, even just the like hard opening the Black Whirlwinds and the Black Feathers, you know?
Yeah, if that's something that you have to kind of play with, it's not what you want. But getting
Speaking
into
of
the game,
Small World.
yeah, getting into the game now, Small World going to be starting, and I like this way that Dale's just kind of showing his bridge here. He's showing what he's going with the Small
He just
World.
double confirms. We're bridging Veiler into Garbage Lord because of the 0 attack stat, and then we'll be able to add any Dark level 5, which is Samuk, which is a 1-card starter for the deck.
Yeah, really strong and nice. I think that's a QCR. Not too sure.
Steely Don loves his Blackwings.
Yeah, I can imagine every now and then it's quite fun. You see a little bit of a post about him going, cool, does anyone want like a low rarity Blackwings? Because you can see he's just upgraded the deck over time, which is really cool to see, like someone who's very proficient in a deck, like, and they love for that deck specifically.
We're gonna banish and then place Black Whirlwind from our deck and then immediately normal summon the summon, and then that activates to go fetch us another extender. We immediately normal summon, which triggers Black Whirlwind yet again. Ton of advantage gained off of this.
And just for anyone who doesn't know Blackwings, how does Black Whirlwind work exactly for you to keep going?
So when a Blackwing monster is normal summoned, you can add a Blackwing monster from your deck with a lower attack stat than the normal summoned monster.
And then on top of that, is it Black Whirlwind that gives you extra normal summons, or is it the birds themselves?
It's the birds themselves. So Samoon has himself, like, it places the Black Whirlwind for deck and then normal summons itself.
Okay, interesting. So Dale being able to essentially run through his deck, find the exact tools he wants for his line that he wants to play, and as he goes, he just gets to search for lower attack monsters and get more normal summons to keep playing through. So this, if you haven't seen Blackwings before, this is how they function, and you're going to see this board just being flooded by birds.
Oh yeah, no, he's going to accumulate a ton of advantage now with essentially a synchro summon from deck into the Blackwing Dragon.
And I must say, like, the synchros that you get from Blackwings can be very interesting. I know that when we were off stream, I was mentioning, just talking about how counters are not exceptionally common in Yu-Gi-Oh! But I think that Blackwings do use them quite interestingly. Get them for negates, you get them for some combat efficiency moves as well.
Absolutely. going to go fetch some counters.
Yeah.
So they place feather counters and wedge counters, Blackwings, but it's important to distinguish them.
True.
Like a synchro summon for the wind, I believe. I might be wrong.
Looks like it's Aurora. I'll go with it. Yeah, it looks like using Black Feather again here. Or what's he opting for?
Let's talk a bit about Tim. What is Tim doing here? What do you think his stance is here?
Yeah, I mean, the thing for me is, if Dale is left to just keep going on his own, I feel like we're going to get a Kali Yuga really early in your opponent's turn. And Tim has to have the right tools to deal with that, to stop it from actually coming out and applying its effect to essentially skip your turn.
Yeah.
So I feel like either Tim has not opened much interaction here, or he's waiting for the optimal time to utilize them. I do feel something like if you stop Blackwings early and you don't know what's in their hand, they can just keep extending based on the monster that they normal summon and the attack stat line for that monster.
No, he could really well be sitting with like an Ash and a Nibiru in his hand, just waiting for the perfect time to Nibiru and then ashing the follow-up extension. We'll just have to wait and see as Dale accumulates more and more counters.
Sitting on 7. And then to overlay here.
Raid Raptor combo lines. So this is the combo line that you use to get into Kali Yuga more effectively, because you go Skip Force. And then from Skip Force you can go into a level 7, and then from the level 7 you can rank up magic. The Phantom Knight rank up magic into Kali Yuga.
Ooh, here we go. Here we have our first interruption coming through from Tim.
This is very good. This shuts off the Kali Yuga line, which is exactly what Tim wants to do. He can play through the Blackwing board. He cannot play through a Kali Yuga.
I think this is pretty much exactly what we were just talking about, is finding that opportune moment to actually utilize the interruptions you have. I was worried for a while that they didn't actually open the interruptions, but of course, lots of space in his deck for these. And it shows you why hand traps are so important in the modern Yu-Gi-Oh formats.
I think Tim is very experienced in the skill of bluffing as well.
Yeah.
Like he seems like he doesn't have anything, or he seems like he doesn't know what he's doing, but in his mind, he's got everything planned out. He knows exactly what he's doing. You can never really tell with him.
It's true. He does have a very interesting poker face. Now, I think this is interesting. If this is where he's been stopped, what's the next step he's going to go to? What's the next best thing?
Oh, I promise you, there's still a ton of gas.
There's still a ton of gas. We're going to see this going
He's
for a while.
just really trying to figure out what approach he wants to take in building his board here.
I think it's going to be important as well, looking at something like time. I mean, 27 minutes left on the clock. Dale needs to get this win here. I mean, Tim taking the first one. Needs to find a way to push enough that Tim doesn't get much on his turn, or actually gives him moves it over to game 3. So it's going to be interesting to see what the local master of Blackwings decides to opt for. Okay, it's going to go SP. I think that's not really much more of the turn left if we see SP already. At least in other decks.
There is still a Zephyros as well. And it could be possible Assault Dragons coming out later by banishing the Blackwing Dragons from the graveyard. 400 damage taken to Dale. The first Assault Dragon comes down. This card burns you for 700 every time you activate a monster effect.
Yeah, and it's surprising how far down your life can go after a turn, especially
when multiple start hitting the board.
Oh yeah,
and it's extremely hard to out them as well.
No, they're very sticky cards. It looks like is this going to be Dale passing here? Nope, not yet.
That's the question always you have to ask yourself. Is Dale passing?
Yeah. So as soon as I see like a hand movement that kind of gestures something like opting something to the opponent or maybe checking if they have a reaction, it feels like maybe it's a pass, and then no, it's just another
It's
arm in.
never a pass with Dale. Summons the second assault mode as well,
Yeah.
and then Nibiru
Oh
gets
my
dropped
word.
at
Yeah.
an optimal point. We can chain SP, we can banish one of our assault dragons as well.
Yeah, chaining the SP.
So this is what I was talking about, is that Timothy Challis knows this matchup well enough to where he can hold off for the perfect opportunities to actually interrupt Dale, whereas most people would just be knowledge checked and drop the Nibiru way too early, or drop the Imperm way too early and it'd be ineffective.
Yeah, I think that was really good, like holding that for so long. Very nice that he also opened with both of the interruptions, but geez, that was held for a long, long time.
Now it might be is Dale passing question. But first we're gonna triple tack. We're gonna look at Timothy Challis's hand over here. See what starters we can rip. Maybe an Ostinato. I doubt though, considering that he summoned the Nib token in defense position. Usually, if you open Ostinato, you want to summon the Nib token in attack position, so you can go battle phase, kill your own Nibiru, and then main phase 2 Ostinato.
Yeah, I think this is important though, and
we are chaining Jerusalem on the Bayou in the graveyard.
oh jeez. And if I just look at the deck list here, is that what he brought in, or do you already have it in the deck?
He brought in the Bastiles.
Yeah, Jerusalem did come in. I think very good choice there. I mean, we did briefly mention it. Jeez, I've gotten something in my eyes. This is awful. Of course, the time that we decide that the cameras need to turn over, I managed to pick some out of my eyes.
I can't even say this is technical difficulties.
Yeah, no, this is physical difficulties. It's even worse. Oh gosh, it actually feels like I have chilies in my eye right now. I'm not sure what I've done. I mean, Tim, he's down to like what, 2 cards in hand or 1 card? Even.
1 card in hand,
Yeah.
actually, and he's going to draw another card, so he can have 2 cards to try and end
And that
the
nib
game.
must be, the nib token must be massive as well.
Oh yeah, no, huge.
You know,
The nice
two
thing is
almonds.
though, is that the Jerusalem, when it's integrated, will be out the nib
True,
token
true.
instantly.
Out it, yeah. As soon as he sends that to grave.
In phase, the SP Little Knight and the Blackwing Assault Dragon comes back. Depending on what Tim's hand is here, you might just want to go straight into battle phase, because he gets to clear both the Assault Dragon and the SP Little Knight, and then main phase 2 just make something like an SP Little Knight. Jerusalem triggers to send the Nibiru, and then this is obviously assuming he doesn't draw engine.
Yeah, I think if he draws engine, he definitely needs to extend it out.
Yeah.
Okay, there's the draw. This is the important part for Tim now. Is the heart of the cards in his favor?
Let's hope. Let's see.
Yeah,
Players on Timothy Challis.
definitely taking time to think about it whilst he can.
It's what we call a big think.
Yeah.
So we are just going to battle phase. Looks like he
Yes.
didn't draw a ton. Jerusalem clears the SP, Nibiru will clear the Assault Dragon.
And if our life is totals are currently accurate, which they should be, is both players at 6/6.
Or
Quite interesting.
there's some damage happening now.
Yeah, the damage movement now from the. Ooh.
Okay, so this is a hand trap that Blackwing has. You can effectively discard it to destroy one monster your opponent controls.
Oh wow, that is unfortunate. I mean, depending on what he's, I assume he's targeting the nib here.
Yeah.
To stop the
Stop the
attack.
Assault Dragon from being destroyed.
Means depending on what Timothy has in his hand right now, can he even go to the SP and get the value off of the Jerusalem? He had to have drawn a monster to be able to get that.
Is it destroy? Maybe it's negate its effects in a con attack. I know it's one of the two.
Yeah, I mean,
Blackwing cards, am I right?
I mean, there's like, how many Blackwing cards out there? So many.
I think it's like an equal amount of hero cards as there are Blackwing cards.
Okay.
And
I
looks
find
like
this interesting how much one has to kind of think about the steps that are going into this. And Timothy really has to make sure that his next move is the one that kind of pushes the round far enough, or pushes his advantage far enough that he can actually win the round off of it.
the follow-up for Dale is also extremely strong. It's important to keep in mind as soon as play passes back to him, negate effect and lose 700 attack. There we go. So the Nibiru cannot attack over the Assault Dragon right now.
I wonder if this is a case of Timothy thinking if it's worth going to the next game, and taking it to a game 3 here. But it really depends what that last card was. It's potentially going to
For a liner, and then Jerusalem triggers defend us.
So
Takes
loses
700 damage.
Yeah, 700 damage from the Armor Dragon. But yeah, that liner is an interesting play.
This Nibiru token is still huge.
Yeah, not being able to get rid of the Nib token is definitely a concern. If Dale just turns that and swings and manages to get damage in, it's probably going to be all of the life that Timothy actually has available.
Just waiting to see.
Yeah,
here.
I really want to see what these hands are.
Just waiting to see if Timothy Challis can find a line to get rid of. No, he doesn't get rid of the Nibiru token. That's a huge threat.
Yeah. I mean, what could possibly be in his hand to actually do something about this and not go to like a game 3 situation?
I don't know. Hey, I really don't know.
I mean, I guess I assume that they have worked out what the Nib token's attack and defense actually is. This could be a planned effect where, because if Liner dies from battle, you will be able to fetch a light monster from your deck.
You'll be able to fetch not low, but one of the Saphira, I think, as well as maybe Star Guardian. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's 1,500 lower defense, I think.
Defense, not attack.
Yeah, it's something like that. Actually, I'm so used to just having a target for a charmer compared to actually like the exact wording.
You can also fetch the Melodius monsters.
True, yeah. But I mean, do Melodius monsters have triggers in your opponent's turn to be summoned and actually use defense? So I think he has to have something that, as a quick effect, he can kind of stop a bit more.
Looks like we've drawn a Vayu as well.
I do appreciate the way that Daeldon is still playing quite careful, regardless, knowing that like there's 2 cards and a liner that I'm aware of. Well, 2 unknowns and a liner, essentially.
No, Dale is an exceptional person. Even during Tier 0 format, he keeps calm, he keeps collected, he analyzes the game state, he finds a solution. He's very efficient at doing such. Doesn't opt to attack into the liner.
That is very interesting. So I didn't expect. I was not expecting that. I was expecting you crashing. You just try to see how much you can do.
So we've drawn a card in the draw phase, or in the main phase rather. We're going to activate Magnamut to banish. I think probably. Yeah, just start getting rid of the Assault Dragons. You could also argue to banish some of the Blackwing extenders, because you don't really want that follow-up in graveyard.
Also, I'm pretty sure we saw his hand now. I think it's Sorvis and
Ritual Seraphs?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've lost the name of the card. It was on the tip of my tongue. This happens all the time. I find that very, very interesting of keeping the Nib token and not trying to play further. I'm not sure if maybe there's something that we potentially missed. I don't think there was.
I think it's just I don't think it was quite enough damage to punch over the liner for games. I think it's better to just put your opponent on, better have engine, and just pass. The liner and the Magnamut being committed into a Nibiru token. Notably, this means that Tim cannot attack directly for the rest of the turn. So it will likely be a turn 5.
Oh wow! I mean, this is a very, very interesting match now. I think that the fact that Dale decided not to like crash and kind of give his opponent anything to go with.
In phase adding Saphira, by the way, and then players back to Dale lead on.
Oof.
So it's just an SP, a lonely little SP, and passing.
I mean, geez, as Blackwings, I feel like you can push through this, but seemingly a little bit out of gas, or these draws just not quite pertaining to what is required to push through this.
No?
Oh, there we go. I mean, that's a big card for Blackwings.
Let's see how he plays through this SP Little Knight and then continues to accumulate advantage, because he knows that Timothy Chalice has the Saphira in hand now. He knows that there is one card combo follow-up. We'll just have to see.
What does he opt to play? Oh, is that just a pass? Oh wow.
Really unfortunate draws here from Dale.
Yeah.
Saphira effect, sending a ritual spell, adding low.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like...
Adding Seraphis, have we drawn a starter?
Oh my word.
This is a bad omen.
If that's the case, I mean, Tim might just have a way to kind of run away with this now.
It's because we draw this through the Skull Guardian, and we can just immediately ritual summon.
Oh wow.
Tributing the Seraphis from hand.
Wow, like, this is one of those things where I think potentially inexperienced players would have, either side would have potentially scooped by now. And we've kind of seen this go quite back and forth, where we think that it's Dale's game to come back to, and now Tim, just a massive swing in his favor.
Really, really well played from both gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Normal summon of low here. Placing barrier. Barrier can add Ancient Seraphis if he wants, or it's just going to add another Blessing. Blessing can recycle the Saphira that's in the graveyard to accumulate future plays.
But is it enough to push through 13 minutes left on the clock?
This Skull Guardian is a 4,100 attack because of the low being on the field or in the graveyard.
Oh wow.
Big damage. Espilon Knight 16 and the low is alone, he's all 50 damage.
50, okay.
50 damage.
Thanks so much. We love counting in 50s over here. So do you see the life being adjusted now? And we might see how far down Dale Don has gone before we actually have a bit of a turnaround here. If we have a turnaround. 800 life. I mean, I feel like if someone has come back from something like this, it's probably Dale on his pet deck.
You're staring down an SP Little Knight and a Skull Guardian negate. It's
with the barrier low in play.
Yeah, a Seraphis shuffling back the Call by the Grave and the Blessing, or not the Blessing, the Ritual Spell from the graveyard. So now you're staring down a Seraphis, which is going to tag out for another summon negate, a Skull Guardian, which is a card or effect negate, and an SP Little Knight interrupting one of your players. It's a lot.
Yeah, I don't think that there's much to go from, but you always take that draw, and it's a droll. The draw is a droll. I don't
really
think
unfortunate here, really.
Yeah, I mean, this is part of the variance you get.
There's the handshake, the reveal.
I mean, I feel like that was such a good game to
That was such a good game.
It was
really well played from Timothy Chalice here. Absolutely zero misplays. No misplays from Dale Don.